147 Republican members of Congress voted to reject the presidential election results even after the Capitol was stormed and their colleagues feared for their lives. John Avlon has our reality check. Hi, John.
There needs to be accountability for this attempt to overthrow our democracy. Because unless the people who perpetrated this face real consequences, America is going to face more sedition in the future. There needs to be accountability for the President Trump and his minions who kept lying to the American people about a stolen election while trying to steal it themselves. There needs to be accountability for Trump's supporters who stormed the Capitol building. All of them should be prosecuted. But we can't forget about the 147 Republicans who enabled Trump's attempted coup, even after the Capitol was attacked. They made the cynical and cowardly calculation that it would be easier to roll over for Donald Trump's demands than to do the right thing for our democracy. That's exactly why we need to remember their names. And, as conservative columnist George Will suggested, politically tar them with a scarlet S for sedition. You probably know the seditious seven in the Senate, led by Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz, joined by Rick Scott, Cindy Hyde-Smith, as well as freshman Senators Tommy Tuberville, Raj Marshall, and Cynthia Lummis. With the Capitol battered, they still tried to overrule voters and overturn a presidential election, in Mitch McConnell's words. Most Senate Republicans ultimately chose to oppose that path. But that was not the case in the House, where an unprecedented 139 Republicans, 66% of the party's total, voted to overturn the election without 1 ounce of actual evidence. Maybe they thought there'd be little price to pay because most don't have competitive general elections. They only have to worry about getting primaried from the far right, a threat Trump often used to keep them in line. So instigators like Louis Gohmert, Paul Gosar, and Mo Brooks knew they could lie and divide with impunity. But there are still 27 toss-up districts, according to the Cook Political Report. And so it's worth shining a light on those House members. Republicans like Arizona's Dave Schweikert, California's Mike Garcia, Minnesota's Jim Haggerty, New Jersey's Jeff Van Drew, Virginia's Bob Good, and Pennsylvania's Scott Perry, all from states Joe Biden won. Speaking of Pennsylvania, 8 Keystone State Republicans voted to invalidate their own voters, which is bonkers. You can't logically say there was massive fraud for president, but your election was legit. But then logic left the station a long time ago. Of course there's more. The most populous pivot county in the country is Suffolk in New York, where Congressman Lee Zeldin cast his vote for Donald Trump over democracy. So did New York City's only Republican representative, Nicole Malliotakis. This isn't about local politics. It's about people putting party over country, like 12 Republicans from Florida, or 7 from North Carolina, or 6 from Georgia. On the flip side, Republicans who consistently stood up to Trump's threats. They showed real courage. People like Mitt Romney, Ben Sasse, and Adam Kinzinger. And they deserve your respect, whether you agree with their policies or not. And that's exactly why those who failed this test should not be forgiven or forgotten. As former Republican Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger said, our grandchildren will know your names only as the villains who fought against the great American experiment and the will of the voters. And that's your reality check.